Are you looking for a podcast where you can hear from real people regarding their real dental drama? If so, then you've come to the right place. Join hosts Bethany Petty and Dr. Rena Kuba as we dive into the solutions we've created and the mistakes we've made while managing dental drama. Let's get started. Happy holidays, friends. It is hopefully a fun week for so many of you. I know it is a busy week for many of you, which is why I wanted to do just a brief episode today with some holiday how-tos regarding time away from the office. So I know this is kind of an interesting week with Christmas falling on Thursday. It leaves both a weird week this week and a weird week next week. Now, I know plenty of my clients will actually take time off this week and they'll shut the practice down for the week. I've got clients that'll do it up for the whole week this week and then they're off some of next week as well. And then, of course, I've got plenty of clients that are working today and tomorrow and even half a day on Wednesday. And so everybody's holiday week looks different. But I wanted to set up a few key reminders on how to take time off well during a holiday break period like this. So many times, what I see with practices is that the practice owner has a general idea of how that time off is going to go. They block the calendar accordingly, hopefully many months in advance. And so the whole team knows that we're closed on this day, this day, this day. But outside of being closed, a lot of practice owners haven't taken the time to envision how those closed days will go. In particular, are they expecting the phone to be answered? Are they expecting emails to be responded to, text messages to be responded to? Are we editing a voicemail and telling patients when we will return to the office? Are we sending out a mass email and telling patients about our holiday hours? What are we doing about emergencies? Where do those go? Is the doctor on call during the break for those emergencies? If so, are the patients aware of that? So many times the doctor has an idea on those things, but hasn't fully communicated his or her expectations to the team. So while it's a little bit last minute, you're listening to this episode today, if your practice is already closed, then you may have missed the boat on this, or you may need to communicate to your team what the expectations are. If you are still working today and tomorrow or whatever the case may be for this week, then I would encourage you to take time at the end of today to review your expectations. So let's say that you're closed Wednesday through Friday of this week. I think it's very important that, number one, you make some preparations for the patients to know that you are closed. I prefer for a holiday email blast to go out. Honestly, ideally before this week. I like for it to go out about a week before you're going to be closed so that patients know that you're going to be closed. If there was an issue that they've kind of been putting off, the last thing that we want is for that to blow up on that patient over the holiday break. And so if they know ahead of time, that email that says, by the way, happy holidays to everyone, our office will be closed, and you list out the closure dates, then that can sometimes be a reminder that to that patient that's been having a little lingering pain to go ahead and give you a call sooner rather than later. Now, if you're going to be closed on, let's say, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week, I would encourage you to coordinate with a team member to get an email sent out today, letting patients know that you guys will be closed on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, it's important that patients who have a true emergency know what to do. So it's important that in that office hour closure email that's sent out, that you describe what a true emergency is. here are the symptoms. If you have this symptom, this symptom, this symptom, then we would consider that a true emergency. If that occurs over this holiday break, step 1 is this, or option 2 is this. Line out what the patients need to do in the case of the emergency that you described. Now, it's challenging to find quote unquote coverage for your holiday break period of time because a lot of people go on holiday at the same time. So this next suggestion is going to be a little bit tricky, but it may still be worth considering, especially if you're taking a longer period of time off and are either going to be out of town or out of pocket for a week or more than that. In that particular case, that blast email that you send would need to have an emergency contact. So let's say that your office is closed from this Wednesday until next Thursday because that's New Year's Day. Then I would list whoever your colleague is that is going to be covering call for you. List the doctor's name, list the practice phone number or their personal cell number, whatever it is that you've arranged with that provider, so that patients have the opportunity in a true emergency to contact another doctor. Now, that's part of this whole thing that you need to think of in this holiday how-to is, do you have somebody that covers call for you? Or is that something that you've always covered yourself and therefore, unfortunately, have never really gotten a break? In that particular case, I would say it's time for you to coordinate with somebody either in your community. Oftentimes, I will see my clients get to know a fellow doctor, dentist in their area, in their same town even, and they coordinate with that doctor to cover call when they are out of town or out of pocket. So if you haven't developed that type of relationship, I would encourage you to do so as quickly as possible. Once again, it's a little bit late for that this week, but I think going forward, it gives you the opportunity to get away on vacation and actually not have to worry about your patients being in need. So that email blast should include the dates of your closure. It should include what a true emergency is, what to do in that true emergency, and if you have an on-call doctor, it needs to list that doctor's information and when to contact him or her or their practice in the case of an emergency. Those details are going to be incredibly helpful for, number one, telling your patients that you're going to be closed so they don't need to be hunting you down. Number two, it is going to be helpful to communicate to your team what the expectation is as far as their role in helping with these patients over the holiday period of time. If you've gone to the appropriate steps of building a relationship with a colleague and having them cover call, then there's a high likelihood that you won't necessarily have to have phone coverage during that time that you're away. If you do not have a colleague that is covering call for you, then you may need a team member that is at least checking in on voicemail or wherever your messages come through to ensure that you haven't missed an emergency. The only alternative would be that if on your voicemail, whatever you want to call it, when a patient calls in, if you don't have somebody on call and you yourself are going to be the emergency contact because you want your team member to have a full week off or whatever the case may be, then you'll need to list your personal cell phone number in that email and also in that voicemail. Now, this type of email is helpful to the patients, but it's also helpful to your team. If you are going to have somebody that is answering phones for you during the holiday break period, you need to indicate to him or her what your expectations are. For example, let's say you're closed Wednesday through Friday of this week, Wednesday being Christmas Eve. Then you may say to, let's say it's Sweet Sally. Sweet Sally, thank you so much for being willing to watch the phone. My expectation is that you would please log into the phone system from noon to 1? And would you check any and all voice messages that have come through, respond to any emails or text messages, and then you're done for the day? Or maybe it's, hey, sweet Sally, thank you so much for being willing to help out at the office. I'd love for you to be on site at the office to be available for any deliveries or packages or things like that, and to be answering the phone from 8 to noon. Whatever the case may be, you want to come up with a plan. Maybe it's not Christmas Eve that you're worried about. Maybe it's the fact that you've chosen to take off Friday, December 26th. In that particular case, you would need to arrange with a team member. Maybe that means, again, hey, sweet Sally, thanks so much for being willing to come in, get caught up on phone calls, and also confirm Monday's appointments. My expectation would be on Friday, December 26th, that you would please come to the office from 2 to 4. And during that time, if you could check any messages, respond to emails, and get Monday's appointments confirmed, that would be awesome. So this type of communication is important because team members, first of all, want the direction. They need to know what you're expecting out of them. But also, I can't tell you how many times I've spoken with a client of mine who was frustrated because the team member who agreed to come in on Friday, December 26th, came in from 8 to 9 a.m. and then missed multiple calls that came through that morning. And they're like, why did she think that 8 to 9 would be a good time period to come? Well, she made her best guess because y'all didn't talk about it. So I think it's important to really be specific in those expectations. Obviously, this applies for this holiday week, next holiday week, but honestly, any week going forward where you're away from the office, or even day that you're away from the office, make sure that you're lining out a plan for your patients and that they know about that plan, but also that you're lining out a plan for the team on what you expect of them during that break time. So again, short, sweet, and to the point. I didn't want to give you too much to think about today because it's a holiday week. If you're off already, I do hope that you will thoroughly enjoy your time away. If you haven't communicated a clear plan to your team, even if they haven't asked, I think it's helpful to shoot out a quick text message saying, by the way, this is our plan for the week. Or you can coordinate with the one person that you know is going to be covering Friday, December 26th, and make sure that you communicate your expectations for that day. Also, if you're already off, it still doesn't hurt to send a reminder email to patients just to say, hey, if you happen to call the office and get our voicemail, it's because we're closed for this holiday week. We wish you the very best, and then line out those emergency protocols. If there is an emergency contact, list that as well. If you aren't closed yet, then today is the perfect day to do these things. So chop, get to it. Make sure that your patients are in the loop with what's happening. Make sure your team is in the loop with what's happening so that you can check out and enjoy your downtime. Happy holidays, friends. Have a great week.
Thanks for joining the conversation today. We hope that you are comforted in knowing that you are not alone, but we also hope that you're walking away with some really great tips and tricks to try in your practice. We value your feedback, so please take a few moments to rate and review the podcast. Finally, we want to make sure that we're covering the topics that matter to you. So track us down on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and let us know what topics you want us to cover. As always, please know that we are rooting for you today as you manage your dental drama.